5 on your side at 10 starts now.
A massive morning explosion rattles a quiet neighborhood.
So I could have swore a plane had crashed,
creating a massive fire.
We have 3 structures fully involved,
causing injuries.
We're going to have numerous victims,
and leaving behind widespread destruction.
It was just total chaos, and our yard just looks like a war zone.
That powerful blast could be felt for blocks, and tonight it's still unclear what ignited it. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush.
And I'm Kelly Jackson. The explosion happened just before 9 this morning on Evan Air Drive. That is located off Lindbergh and Old Halls Ferry Road in North County. About 20 homes were damaged or destroyed. Within the last 2 hours, we have learned a total of 5 people were hurt. 3 remain in the hospital tonight, 2 in Mercy's burn unit, including an 18-year-old who is being treated for life-threatening injuries. Tonight, St. Louis County Bomb and Arson and Spire are investigating what caused that massive blast. We have live team coverage tonight from the neighborhood.
Let's start with Brent Solomon with the latest from investigators and what he learned just hours ago. Brent.
I can tell you it's still an active scene even as we speak. Authorities and first responders showing up within just the last few moments here. Let me get out of the way and show you what is happening here in the Sunland Hills subdivision. You can see a home that once stood here is now just a shell of that. Many families here being told not to return to their properties tonight. Not safe due to structural concerns. Neighbors are trying to make sense of how this could happen, and so are investigators. In just a matter of seconds, a major explosion rattling this North County community. Neighbors thought it was an earthquake.
This is profound.
It was just after 9 Monday morning here on Evan Air and Belcroft Drives.
The buildings are not safe.
Blackjack Fire Chief Paul Peebles says his crews arrived to find 5 homes on fire after some type of an explosion. Now, more than 20 homes are damaged, a few of them leveled to the ground.
Some are damaged so much, we couldn't get in there. We had to send cadaver dogs in.
But still no sign of how this happened. The St. Louis Regional Bomb and Arson Unit now investigating.
Our folks did not find any issues with our natural gas infrastructure leading up to those homes.
Spire had to turn off natural gas here. The company is doing its part in getting answers.
Oftentimes in situations like this, what you'll hear is a contractor was digging in the area and may have hit a gas line. Over the past couple of months, we cannot find any 811 calls in this neighborhood where people were doing that excavation. And there have been no calls from anybody in this area saying that they smelled natural gas.
As crews work to get to the bottom of it all, red stickers are going up on numerous homes in the area, warning families to stay out.
You don't want to have somebody go into a building, then it collapse. The floors are not stable. The walls are not stable.
All right, let's go ahead and get you back live now here. As I told you at the top of the hour, Blackjack firefighters were showing up within just seconds of our report. At this hour, we're not exactly sure why they have returned to the scene, but they are focusing on this home and some of the properties behind it. One could possibly speculate that they're wondering if there are any hot spots or, maybe a portion of a fire that was put out earlier today, maybe it's smoking again. But that's all speculation at this point until we hear from authorities. But as you can see, a very active scene as first responders have returned to this area. I can tell you that at least 20 families and the neighbors surrounding them, a whole community, is without electricity tonight. And as you heard earlier, the gas is also off. We're on top of this. Stick with us for the latest developments, both on air and online. For now, that is the very latest from North St. Louis County. Brent Solomon, back to you.
And as the camera was zooming in, we could see some smoke behind Brent, so that may be why those fire trucks are there. The ripple effect goes beyond the damages and injuries. The blast has left an entire neighborhood shaken. 5 on your side's Andy Kroll continues our live team coverage with neighbors who are still trying to process what happened. Andy.
Well, Mike, as you can see behind me, fire crews are very much on the scene. We're a couple hundred yards away from where Brent is, and we just heard from them. There is a smoking call. That's why they're here. That's why they've arrived just in the last few minutes of our report. There were calls that there might be smoke at this scene, which is not far from Candlewick Curb Drive. Now, we've been able to hear from so many of the neighbors in this North County area, and they tell us it's honestly a miracle no one was killed.
I heard this loud noise, explosion. My house shook so bad.
Neighbors said it was just a normal Monday morning, starting their workday at home when they thought a car hit the side of their house. That's how loud the boom was.
I ran down the steps, looked on the side of my house. There was nothing there, and I looked over into the sky, big cloud of black smoke with debris coming down. And I was just shocked, and all the neighbors were coming outside, and we were going that way.
People who live in this condominium complex around Candlewick Club Drive couldn't help but be emotional remembering the blast.
My door shook and my bells on my door shook, and I said, oh my God, is it an earthquake? And then my goddaughter texted and said, did you feel the boom? And I called her and I said, yes, I felt it. I looked outside and there was nothing, and then I looked outside and I started hearing the fire trucks.
Ashley Roberts tells us her sister's home was one of the 5 on fire after the explosion. She said her family members were inside when their roof started to cave in.
I got a call from my sister. She was screaming in the phone, like, help, help, like my house, it's, I think she said something about a fire, and it just really, I was all shook up. I'm like, oh my God. She's like, come now, come now.
Officials say more than 20 homes were damaged in this neighborhood and surrounding area.
The windows are out. We don't know like all her other possessions, but all that stuff doesn't matter because it can be regained.
And this is just some of the destruction left behind from this morning's explosion. A piece of wood splintered, nails coming off from one of the homes behind me after this explosion. Now, the American Red Cross has opened up an emergency shelter for any of the families in the area who have been affected by this. That's going to be located at St. Angela Merici on North Highway 67. But also the Blackjack Fire Department, who we just spoke to minutes ago, tells us that if you'd like to donate things like water or toiletries, you can certainly drop that off at their firehouse on Lindbergh Boulevard. Reporting live in North County, Annie Kroll, 5 on your side.
And dozens of residents won't be sleeping in their own homes tonight. Many were only able to grab a bag of essentials, just the bare necessities. We talked with a man whose home was tagged with a red label, making it unsafe to enter. Cecil Cobb told us he and his wife were in their home when the explosion rocked their neighborhood. He says the sound of the blast was indescribable. And when he stepped outside, he saw his neighbor.
I was close enough to him, I could see his skin was actually burned off. His outer skin was burned off. It was just red. And I'm talking about from his head down. He had shirts on his legs, and they were saying, get the paramedics. And then they laid a blanket down and let him lay on it. And it took a while. But like I said, I think he did survive, but it was very, very bad.
Cobb and his wife have lived in their home for more than 20 years. And despite the devastation and loss, he says he is grateful they both made it out alive.
Our coverage of the North County explosion continues now on our 5 Plus streaming app. It's free to download and watch on your Roku, Apple, Fire, Samsung, and LG TV. You can also get the latest updates on KSDK.com and the 5 on your side app. Just text the word explosion to 314-425-5355 and we'll send you a link. Tonight, the St. Louis Teachers Union submitted a letter of no confidence in the district superintendent, Dr. Millicent Borishade.
This comes less than a year after the firing of the woman she replaced. 5 on your side's Laura Barcheski explains how we got here and what's next, Laura.
Mike and Kelly, it seems like it's been slowly building up to this point, and what happened following the tornado and relocation of schools, along with a recent report calling for school closures, sent the teachers and other staff over the edge. About 2,000 signatures from teachers and staff accompanied a letter of no confidence in St. Louis Public Schools Superintendent Dr. Millicent Borishade. American Federation of Teachers Local 420 spokesperson Byron Clemens hand-delivered it to the St. Louis Public School Board Secretary Monday afternoon.
Part of the issue was tornado damage, which really traumatized the city of St. Louis and our schools. And some of the reaction to that was a grave concern to our members. In the middle of this, in July, there was a release of a study suggesting closing more than half of the schools, 37 schools. That alarmed our members.
I witnessed the tension back in July between Borshade and the union over tornado-damaged school relocations when she addressed school board members.
It becomes extremely difficult to hear people when they are cursing at you. It becomes extremely difficult when people are yelling at you. And so to keep the conversation going, I sent Ms. McLaughlin and Dr. Berry.
Borshade was named interim superintendent a year ago when her predecessor, Dr. Keisha Scarlett, was fired. She was officially appointed to the job in February. Clemens said back then she deserved a chance, despite reports of a no-confidence vote at her prior district in Seattle.
She had been running the district on a day-to-day basis before when Dr. Scarlett was in charge. And so we didn't want to add any more chaos to this.
The district sent this statement on behalf of the school board, quote, "While we recognize that not all stakeholders may agree with every decision, open dialogue and respectful collaboration are the most effective paths forward. Dr. Borshade remains committed to working with all district employees, including union leadership, to build a stronger SLPS for students and families. We will not be distracted from our mission." It is now up to the school board to decide if they want to take any action after receiving this letter of no confidence. The district did not indicate one way or the other if they would take action.
Prayer and reflection.
I can't believe it's been 5 years already.
Only on 5 on Your Side tonight, St. Louis Archbishop Mitchell Rosansky marks a milestone with a timely message to the faithful.
I think it's so important in our world today, especially when we're so divided.
Cool nights, pleasant days. It's faux fall in St. Louis. Or is it? This northwest faux showing no signs of heat and humidity working back into the bi-state anytime soon. I have your Labor Day weekend forecast in 6 minutes.
5 years ago today, Mitchell Rosansky was installed as the Archbishop of St. Louis. As he marks this milestone, he says, looking back, he has no regrets and wouldn't change a thing.
5 on Your Side's Ann Ulrich sat down with the Archbishop for an exclusive interview about his tenure and the challenges he's faced, and how this year in particular has brought two very different events, one filling him with great joy, the other with great frustration.
I can't believe it's been 5 years already, so time has really gone by so quickly.
Much of those 5 years has been an uphill battle for Archbishop Mitchell Rosansky. He launched All Things New, the diocese's controversial restructuring plan, about a year into his new role.
When you look back at the last 5 years, if you could change one thing, would you change something, and what would it be?
Looking back at the 5 years, I realized that I came in, I listened to our priests, to our religious, to our people, knew that things had to be done, things had to change. So I really wouldn't have changed anything in these past 5 years. I knew it had to be done.
As we met in the Archbishop's residence in the Central West End, we got a sense of his daily life. A 5 a.m. alarm, followed by Mass in a chapel just outside the kitchen. It's just for the Archbishop and the nuns who help him run the house.
Archbishop Mitchell Rosansky.
Great to meet you. Great to meet you.
Good to meet you.
From there, the day moves swiftly with a tightly packed schedule. And today marks his first TV interview since the new Pope was elected.
Did you have even an inkling that he may be chosen as Pope?
No. In a word, no.
Did you think you'd see an American Pope in your lifetime?
Never. I never did.
Rosansky calls it a wonderful choice. And within a few months, Pope Leo tapped Rosansky, appointing him to the Dicastery of Interfaith Dialogue, a department of the Vatican dedicated to fostering relationships with Catholics and people of other religions.
I think it's so important in our world today, especially when we're so divided.
But on one of the nation's most divisive issues, President Trump's immigration crackdown, Rosansky says he will not compromise.
It is a moral failure that we would be treating people really in such a way that they're just taken off the streets, put into incarceration.
He argues the entire immigration process is too complicated and takes too long, and he's urging Catholics to push their political leaders to build a new immigration system.
For Catholics in St. Louis who are deeply loyal to President Trump and his policies, including his immigration policy, what do you say to them when that clashes with your messaging today?
The gospel is not one of convenience. We need to take a look at the gospel, at what Jesus tells us, and bring our perspective as Catholics to our political process, and particularly in this subject of immigration.
A push for restructuring has seemed to define this man's first 5 years and will likely set the tone for the path forward.
Ann also talked at length with the Archbishop about all things new, the plan to reshape parishes, schools, and ministries. He says they are now in the phase where they are evaluating the viability of the diocese schools. We'll get into what that exactly means tomorrow night at 10. And right after this newscast, you can watch Ann's entire interview on our 5+ streaming app. Watch for free on your Roku, Apple, Fire, Samsung, or LG TV. Just search KSDK in your app store.
Well, some hurdles are being removed for some St. Louis property owners impacted by the May 16th tornado. Today, St. Louis Mayor Kara Spencer signed an executive order to expedite building permits. The order also allows flexibility on approvals for historic districts and waives special hearings on structures built before current zoning codes. Tomorrow is the deadline for tornado victims to apply for FEMA assistance. City leaders have asked for a second extension, but that has not been granted. 2 disaster recovery centers will remain open until further notice to assist storm victims. For more information on how to apply, text the word FEMA to 314-425-5355, and we'll send you a link.
And we want to bring you up to date on that active scene tonight at the site of this morning's home explosion in North County. As you saw in our live reports just minutes ago, Blackjack firefighters were back at the scene on Evan Air Drive for reports of smoke. Firefighters checked it out and tell our Brent Solomon the smoke seen coming from the rubble of a home was actually steam from a water pipe.
All right, so we ran down the street, got some new energizers, and we're good to go. All right, here we are looking at this month. These are your high temperatures so far. Obviously, it started great for August. Then it got hot and humid. It was miserable. And the last couple of days, highs only in the 70s. We will add 70s again tomorrow. It's been since 2017 since we've had 3 70-degree days in a row in August consecutively. You know, you just don't get this kind of weather in August very often in St. Louis that lasts for more than a day or two. Temperatures have already dropped into the 60s tonight as the clouds have pressed south and southwest out of St. Louis. Our dew point temperatures down around 50 degrees. Some cases they're down into the 40s. And yes, there'll be some steam fog in some of the river valleys tomorrow morning. 64 at Lambert. 74 was all we did today for the high after our morning low of 56. It will be cooler tomorrow. Many of the outlying areas will be 45 to 50 degrees tomorrow, and in town in the low to mid 50s. Out the door tomorrow morning, you'll probably need a light jacket as temperatures are going to be cool. The good news is there's not a lot of wind early tomorrow morning. I know everybody's already looking ahead towards this Labor Day weekend because it's on the doorstep. There is nothing that we see in our pattern that's really going to change things as we go into the weekend. We have little disturbances in this northwest flow aloft that will continue to ripple around. The main focus is down to our south and southwest for anything that's more widespread, but we're keeping this cool or coolish air in place for us as we head through much of the rest of the week. So a bright sky with us here on Tuesday. We warm back into the mid 70s during the afternoon hours. High pressure is pretty much dominating at the lower levels. It's that energy at the upper levels that tries to bring in some moisture and some clouds from time to time. I think as we head into Wednesday night and into Thursday, that may be a little more prevalent, but odds are we will be split in the middle between showers sliding by to our north and showers and thunderstorms sliding by to our southwest on Thursday, and we'll see temperatures in the lower 80s at that point. So only around 80 for highs after tomorrow, and that's going to take us right into the upcoming weekend. Labor Labor Day is Monday, and we're talking 83 degrees. Our rain chances look limited through next week, so it's doubtful that most of us, maybe some of us, won't see any rain at all, but most of us probably stay dry here through the middle, if not end of next week. And we don't see any big-time heat or humidity surging back in here.
Oh, that would be so nice.
It's really nice.
Great for the telethon.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, we look forward to that. Scott, thanks. Here's Frank with sports.
This night is why we love baseball. No hype going into the game. It's the Cardinals and Pirates, 4th place versus 5th place on a Monday night. And it had everything: a comeback, a crazy player, and a walk-off. Let's go to Busch. Now, I do know that Wilson Contreras can really hit. 5th inning, 4-2 Pirates, and Contreras delivers again. It will score Mason Wynn and Alec Burleson. Contreras now has 72 RBIs. But in the 7th, Contreras didn't like the exchange with umpire Derek Thomas. He went nuts. This is Joaquin Andujar-esque. He got tossed, Ali Marmol got tossed, and somebody threw bubble gum on the field. Bottom 9, we're tied at 6 until Alec Burleson unloads. A walk-off homer to dead center field. He had 4 hits, and the Cardinals had a 7-6 victory. Only 17,600 were there to watch it, but man, was it fun.
I always have confidence. I think, if you don't have confidence, you're already defeated in the box. So, I go up there, whether I'm, low for my last 50 or 50 for my last 50, I have the same amount of confidence. But, I think I'm swinging the right pitches right now. I think my preparation is really good.
This 5 on Your Side St. Louis City SC coverage is sponsored by Together Credit Union.
He was basically the first guy hired by City SC 5 years ago. And now sporting director Lutz Pfannenstiel is the latest guy to get fired. When you've played 27 games and you have 5 wins, changes have to happen. Lutz came to town with great style, riding in a sports car. But after a surprisingly good first year, he could never bring the same octane to Energizer Park. Only one team has a worse record in the Western Conference, and his instinct for hiring coaches was off. He probably gave up too soon on Bradley Carnell, and Olaf Melberg, well, that was a disastrous hire. The roster has only scored 31 goals in 27 games.
With this current record now and the record from last year, that just can't happen with a professional franchise, especially not here in St. Louis, who for all intents and purposes started all this stuff back in 1875.
On Mondays, we often play Hit and Run with a St. Louis celebrity. Missouri Sports Hall of Famer Mike Claiborne has been on the airwaves for over 4 decades, including doing Cardinal baseball now. Let's play Hit and Run, Mike. Who's the player on the Cardinal team that you wouldn't mind having a beer with? Or when you're with them, hey, this is fun.
I like Mason Wynn. I like Brendan Donovan. That's my guy.
One center fielder to catch one ball, Jim Edmonds or Kurt Flood?
Kurt Flood. Kurt Flood.
One hitter to get one base hit, Stan Musial or Albert Pujols?
Ooh. You know what? Give me from left side Stan, right side Albert.
The high you get when you've just executed a game perfectly, or as perfectly as you can be, when you're walking out of the booth?
I'll tell you, for me, the most fun I've ever had is being on the field for the Cardinals' last game of the year for the World Series.
Best baseball city to visit?
San Diego's a fun place. You have to like Chicago for everything that surrounds Wrigley Field and what it's all about. I enjoy San Diego. I like the West Coast. You pick any of those stadiums on the West Coast.
What's your best Mike Shannon story?
I remember one time we had gone out. We were out that night, and we were going to play golf the next day. And it was a very early tee time. And we were out playing, and we threw 7 holes. Mike was up. He was up, I think, 2 under. And some guy drove out on the golf course. He said, "Which one of you guys is Mike Shannon?" He said, "That's me." He said, "Well, the hotel just called, and apparently you left the bathwater running, and 2 floors below you are now flooded." Mike didn't. It was putting for birdie, and he never looked up.
That's so good.
Oh, that's a great story.
There's only one Mike Shannon.
Yeah.
Wow. That is so good.
We'll be right back. This coming Sunday, live from historic Grants Farm, the tradition continues. Join me and Allred, Kelly Jackson, Rennie Knott, and Scott Connell for this year's MDA Show of Strength. All the money raised helps people fighting neuromuscular diseases right here in the St. Louis area. Our MDA Show of Strength, Sunday night at 8, right here on 5 on Your Side and 5+.
And as you were saying, hopefully the weather will be nice.
Well,
Nice all week.
Yeah, it should be really comfortable. We're not getting away from these cool nights and pleasant days anytime soon. That's taking us right into the weekend. Very little, if any, chance for rain in the St. Louis area over the next several days.
A gold star for you.
Yeah.
There you have it, 5 on Your Side at 10. We're always streaming on 5+.
Start your day with Today in St. Louis at 5 a.m. Have a great tomorrow.